Hello, BookTube. Aren't you all looking lovely on this bright, beautiful Thursday? Actually, it's gray and drizzly, and it's persistently cold, and there are unpredictable patches of deadly ice scattered all over the sidewalk. But it's a beautiful day for me because the dark valley of the impossible, incredible deadline that I've been working under fell before me. I have vanquished it, as I vanquish all such things. There is literally, at least for now, nothing that I am willing to concede I cannot do. If you need something done, really good, quality readable prose generated in no time at all against an impossible deadline with no need for line edits, who are you going to call? The old rat killer. So, as I promised, I am probably going to be a little more insufferable than usual because when it comes to my dark deadline of the soul, I am released and rejoicing. How wonderful a feeling. So I thought we'd go through some mail to celebrate, although all my videos to my imaginary BookTube friends today are going to be celebrations. I made videos anyway, even under that deadline, but I felt guilty about it. When really the only thing I want to feel after I make videos with all of you is a little bit soiled. So let's look at these packages and see what we can find. There's a bunch of them and a box. And the first one is incredibly light. It's just incredibly. I would have thought that it was maybe a hazard-packed magazine, but no, it's from a publisher. But it has to be a tiny little thing. Maybe a slim volume of poetry. Let's make sure we don't have any paperwork to find. Oh yeah, this is tiny. Absolutely. Oh great. Okay, fantastic. All right, I would have put this in an envelope, but that's all right. We saw this already. We saw a couple of editions of this. This is Letters of Note, the Letters of Note series from Penguin. Where they're small, really beautiful anthology volumes, really well selected and well made, so that you could do worse than to just go to Penguin, to their website, and order the whole set. They're notes on, and then they're letters of notes, and then the title are notes on, and then whatever. I think we saw Dogs and New York. This is compiled by Sean Usher, and this is Notes on Grief. And these are lovely. They have the deckled edges. They have the deep French flaps, and they're perfect for just carrying around. They're a really neat little thing. And this is just going to be a collection of things, a collection of bits and pieces of letters about grief. Fantastic. I'll gobble it right up. I love the other two, and I have seriously thought about going online myself and getting the other volumes in the set, except that I don't really like paying money for books. I mean, I am a pampered hothouse flower of a reviewer, after all. But you could do that. So what else we got here? We did one of those vacuum pack things. Let's do another one of these vacuum pack things. Get them out of the way. Because they're a little bit unwieldy. So okay, this one does have a pub sheet in it. Good. Let's see what we have here. Oh, okay. This comes out soon, I would imagine. March the 1st. And it is another COVID-19 book. We're going to see a lot of those, but they won't always be traumatic. They won't always be dragging us back to reliving it. This is called The Helpers. It's by Kathy Gilsonen, and it's profiles from the front lines of the pandemic. And there we have two of our modern-day heroes. 2 years after the first COVID-19 pandemic lockdowns, we may look back at that shocking period, long before vaccines were available, and draw lessons about what happened and why, our failures and successes, and how to do better in the future as we face the persisting challenges ahead. In this book, the author provides a group portrait of the individuals risking their lives and livelihoods to help their families, communities, and the world at large. The book is also a deeply moving and illuminating look at the United States today, what's wrong, what's inspiring, and what's possible for the future. What's wrong can be summed up fairly quickly. The Fox Entertainment Network has been pumping endlessly to its millions and millions and millions of brainwashed viewers that we don't live in America with a vaccine, that we don't live in America where the science has made any progress on virology just in general, much less in understanding this particular virus. If only there was something that we could do. I mean, if you get sick, well, your grandparents might die, your kids might get really sick, you might survive if your doctors throw the kitchen sink at your infection. It'll be upwards of $45,000, but there's no alternative. If we could only make a vaccine, that's well beyond our medical capabilities. When the other half of the country is walking into the local CVS pharmacy and getting a shot so that they don't go to the hospital, so they have a bad cold if they get COVID. So, and the reason for that divide is easily pinpointed. It's easily pinpointed. There are people who have been lying to an audience who's been primed to believe them over all reality. Get rid of that lying, and all of a sudden you don't have that anymore. But this is coming out on the 1st of March. This will be a series of profiles. That's always interesting, although it can be a challenge to review. Because it's clearly not meant to be reviewed. I'm clearly not meant to point in the midst of profiles of people risking their lives to help the uninoculated. I am clearly not meant to point out, well, this could have been better phrased. And yet I cannot help doing that. That is the job. So a book like this is more often appreciated than reviewed. But let's look at some others here. We have a couple of these big white envelopes. The recycling, I am told reliably, was just done, so there's plenty of room for Steve to make a mess. Okay, this is another finished copy. Oh, great, we saw this already. This is another finished copy. I bet this is a March release. Yes, March the 1st. This is by Sylvia Ferrara, and this is The Greatest Invention. History of the World in 9 Mysterious Scripts. And this author is contending that The Greatest Invention is script. Let's see here. Sylvia Ferrara is a bona fide modern-day adventurer. With a team of fellow researchers, she travels the world from Easter Island to Cyprus, studying ancient texts and cracking their codes. In this book, she invites us along, opening the gate to a 4,000-year-old Cretan cemetery where Europe's first script takes root, and leading us down a nondescript, no pun intended, I assume, street in Rome where a laser scan model of an undeciphered tablet brings tears to the engineer's eyes. Busting the middle school myth of cuneiform as the first and singular invention of writing, Ferrara recreates the 4 flashes of genius that sparked scripts in Mesopotamia, Egypt, Mesoamerica, and China. Welcome back to the city. Hope you enjoyed your time in Vermont. Is there an emergency? No. Do I want traffic to clear out for me? Yes. Is it against your company policy to run your siren just to clear traffic? Yes. Is it against Boston law to run your siren just to clear traffic? Yes. You are breaking the law. You could go to jail. Does it matter? No. Am I going to start the video over again? No. Is the siren stopping? No. The car is now 2 miles away. Still running a siren. Going back to headquarters. No emergency. Anyway, I forget where I was for that gigantic interruption. She introduces a plethora of language innovators, including an abbess who, inspired by hallucinatory migraines, invented her own alphabet. And she immerses us in the heady world of decipherment, exploring both seemingly uncrackable scripts. The enigmatic Phaistos disc features an inscription that poses an impossible challenge. And those that, like Cretan Linear A, her own team is intent on unlocking. I don't know that impossible challenges really exist here. I mean, a totally hermetically sealed language? I think those things are just bound to fall. But I could be wrong. I'm not an expert. This is translated from the Italian by Todd Portnowitz. And it comes out on March the 1st. And I have the advanced copy, and I haven't... do we not put the pub date on the front of the top? No, we don't. We are following some sort of fad. We put this down in the fine print. I have the advanced copy of this, and I haven't got to it. I haven't got to anything, because I've been buried under the mother of all deadlines. And I beat it. I was buried under the mother of all deadlines, and I won. Oh, that won't be a problem, will it? No, it turns out it won't be. Not the answer you were expecting. But that's the answer you're going to get when you're dealing with the fastest gun east of the Pecos. Let's see. What have we got here? Oh, okay. Okay, so what is this? We saw this author already. This is the author of the Copenhagen Trilogy, Tove Ditlevsen. And these, I guess, are 2 other things from the same publisher. We have The Trouble with Happiness and Other Stories, a collection of short stories, and we have The Faces, which is a novel. These are both from Picador Press, but the 2 of them together are going to annoy the anally retentive of you, because they are not the same size. For some weird reason, these are not the same size. They're completely different formats. How odd. So they're not going to look the same on the shelf. They're going to be right next to each other like that. What have we got here? Yeah, so these are two new releases from the author of the Copenhagen Trilogy. A short story collection, never before translated into English, and a short novel. This author is one of Denmark's most famous and beloved writers, and her autobiographical Copenhagen Trilogy was hailed as a masterpiece on republication in English, lauded for its wry humor, limpid prose, and powerful honesty. I wonder if I know some of the people who praised it. I bet I do. Are we going to list anybody? Yes, I do know some. That's that Sam Sachs fellow. What did he have to say about the Copenhagen Trilogy, writing for the Wall Street Journal, one of the greatest book sections in the American newspaper market? What did he have to say? Probably be long-winded and brilliant. The gradual submersion into addiction and madness is brilliantly accomplished. Like the author herself, the reader is balanced on the surface of the moment, appallingly captive to events as they unfold. The author's writing is technically adroit, yet feels unconscious, and it brings the reader remarkably close to experiencing the world through another person's mind. Oh, very nice. Okay, so if you liked the Copenhagen Trilogy, you have a double blast of Tove Ditlevsen coming to you in April. And if you like some semblance of formal consistency with your publisher, you're not getting it with these two. They are different sizes. This one is the same size as the Copenhagen Trilogy, and this is just a tiny little thing. It's going to drive some of you a lot more crazy than it drives me. And then finally we have the box. Not from a publisher, very heavy. I have a suspicion that I know what this is. Let's see if I'm right. How do we rip this thing open? Can we rip this thing open? I don't want to destroy it. Let's be very gentle. I am right. I have one of you out there. One of you out there. So there's the beam. We had a tussle today. One of the things I did to mark my freedom from my deadline was to give somebody a trim. We're doing it very gradually. I'm not going over the... You smell that? That's a human being. She was particularly interested in my devil horn hat yesterday because she not only smelled a human being on it, she smelled a human being whose smell she recognized. Here it's not the case. But one of you out there, you know who you are. I'm very, very grateful. Periodically sends me boxes of Harlequin historical romances. I mentioned the other day, Harlequin does category romances in addition to, category romances are set numbers of things that come out every month. They follow a very strict template. Harlequin does Harlequin Presents, Harlequin Romances itself, Harlequin Supernatural, Harlequin Ultra Sexy, Harlequin Christian, and they also do 4 historical romances every month. And one of you sends me those romances. How wonderful. So let's see what we have. It's a box full of our Harlequin historical romances. And because Harlequin's own website is such a car crash, I don't order from them. And I'm told by Sarah, the bookish knitter, that Harlequin in the U.S. does not distribute Harlequin historicals to bookstores. So although my bookstore, my Barnes & Noble here in Boston, gets Harlequin romance category romances, they don't get these. So chances are I've never seen any of these things. So what have we got here? Okay, the first one's an anthology, Regency Christmas Liaisons. Christine Merrill, Sofia James, who's very good, and Marguerite Kay. We're just going to have a pile of these things. I should arrange my ergonomics ahead of time so they don't come to bite me in the butt. Oh, okay, here's another author I absolutely love, and who I think I encountered first through Harlequin Historical. I think I know this author, Bronwyn Scott, through historicals. Again, I'm gonna have to consult with Sarah. She will know. She knows everything there is to know about these things. And between her and Bree and their podcast, Categorically Romance, they're often talking to these authors. So talk about an expert. But I think I know Bronwyn Scott only through Harlequin Historicals. This is Lord Tresham's Tempting Rival. All of the new Harlequin Historicals have these photo covers. Not always a fan of that, but I imagine commissioning artwork, even Photoshop over photo artwork, would be prohibitively expensive. They probably want to keep the cost down. Then Christine Merrill, we've already seen her. She was in Regency Christmas Liaisons. This is Lady Olivia's Forbidden Protector. She knows something she's not saying. Let's see here. Then we have Millie Adams, marriage deal with the devilish Duke. The one thing that I have no problem with these photograph covers is they are lovely done. I think they're a little bit. I don't like to see photographs of fictional characters because I'm imagining what they look like. A painting is one thing, but they are very well done, so I can't completely complain. Then we have Stranded with the Reclusive Earl by Eva Shepherd. Let's just forget the anachronisms, right? There was no dress like that in Regency London, and no man wore whiskers like that, wore a 5 o'clock shadow like that. But you go with that, you roll with that because you're calling these models in to these covers. Then we have Scandal at Midnight by Annie Burroughs, who's fantastic. Great. Let's see here. The Railway Countess by Julia Justice. What could that possibly mean? There she is in a railway carriage with the English countryside behind her, but what could that mean? Marcella Cranmore wants to avoid marriage and continue using her mathematical expertise to help her railway engineer father. But her father insists on her having a season. At her first ball, Marcella is relieved to see someone she knows, railway investor Crispin Daubignon. Is she English? Conversing with the Viscount is safe, for she's as off limits to him as he is to her, except that is only increasing the fascination. Why would they be off limits to each other? So her father is a railway engineer, hence the title. Then we have a Proposal to Risk Their Friendship by Louise Allen. A couple of modern historicals from Harlequin I have read have turned on the idea of friendship. Simple friendship, not friendship with romance inevitably waiting in the wings, and not friendship between people who are never going to be romantically connected, but actual friendship. And it's been really refreshing. Maybe this will be one of those. Let's see here. Then we have Sofia James again, fantastic. This is the spinster's scandalous affair. Once again, she looks like she knows something. She looks like she knows something that's going to be the key to the whole book. There's a whole box of Harlequin historicals. Thank you so much for sending these. This is A Cinderella for the Viscount by Liz Tyner. There he is staring dedicatedly into her eyes. Let's see here. The Marquess Next Door by Virginia Heath. Once again, ignore the facial hair and the head hair for that matter. This man would have been laughed out of Almax if he dressed like that, but it doesn't matter. It'll be... to avoid an unwanted suitor at her ball, Hope Brooks asks another gentleman to rescue her. He obliges with a surprisingly passionate kiss. He's revealed as her sinfully handsome new neighbor, Lucius, Marquess of Thundersley, and they forge a friendship over their balconies. It's refreshing that Lucius is more interested in her writer dreams than her looks, so why can't she stop thinking about that kiss? Very interesting. She wants to be a writer, and they just talk. Over the back fence. How neat. Then How to Wed a Courtesan by Madeline Martin. My advice to you, from long experience, would be don't. Then A Victorian Family Christmas. And here we have another anthology, but not a Regency. We have Carla Kelly, Carol Laurens, and Eva Shepherd. None of those names ring a bell. I might not be familiar with any of them. And it's interesting that it won't be Regency. Then we have A Marriage Made in Secret by Jenny Fletcher. Am I right in guessing that the ornate stitchery there means this is medieval? Let's see. As the Queen's new lady-in-waiting, Matilda Gosselin tumbles straight into Parisian palace intrigue when she meets courtier Henry Wright, who she discovers is a spy. Okay, so are you going to tell me your date? The 14th century. Okay, so they're not all Regency romances. Then we have Snow-Kissed Proposals. This is also an anthology of two authors, Jenny Fletcher and Elizabeth Hobbs. There the two of them are embracing in the snow. We had a very transient little rain shower here a little earlier. Oh, goodness gracious. Okay. All right. Why don't you have some soup? This is by Melissa Oliver. This is the return of her lost knight. And obviously we will be dealing with medieval times here, a lot earlier than the 14th century, I bet. Let's see. The 13th century. Okay, so we're almost done here. Then we have Captivating the Cynical Earl by Catherine Tinley. He doesn't look like he's going to warm up to anybody. They're always the ones that do, though. Let's see who he is. For Jack Beresford, Earl of Hawkenden, emotional entanglements are the path to pain. Well, I guess if you're into that. But when his brother brings his new wife and her best friend to his country home, everything changes. Lady Cicely Thornhill is both vibrant and beautiful, and Jack finds himself increasingly captivated by her sunny nature. Yet he must resist her charms, for in a month she'll be gone, unless his frozen heart thaws before then. And that is a way, these formulaic romances, these category romances, the one thing they don't do, and it's not their fault, and it's also not exclusive to them, commercial romances tend not to do it, is take the hard route. If the author has a basic plot and a path diverges in that yellow wood, and they could take the hard route, they typically don't. It's not even specified on the back cover here that the author is going to take the easy route, because we can just assume. We can just assume that Lady Cicely Thornhill is Jack Beresford's brother's wife's best friend, not his brother's wife. That would be the hard route, where this cynical earl is sequestered at his country estate. His brother comes with his new wife and his wife's best friend, and Jack Beresford falls for his brother's wife, not for the best friend, who is of course free and will marry him. Right? That the more difficult route they almost never take. Almost never. I don't fault them for it, because that's not the kind of writing that they're doing. But I think it's interesting they don't even need to specify on the cover of the book who she is, which of the two she is. And then finally, looks like we're going to end on a Regency. This is by Diane Gaston, and it is Lord Grantwell's Christmas Wish. And I guess these covers, I mean, they're stately. They probably aren't any different than the painted covers of the old historicals that I like. But it looks like we got quite a few Regencies in this box. That is the end of the box. I cannot thank the sender enough. Very, very nice. I don't know that I can do a Steve pyramid of all of these, but let's give it the old college try, since we are free. We are released and rejoicing. So we have The Helpers, COVID-19 book. We have The Greatest Invention, about the hunt for untranslatable texts. We have two Tove Ditlevsons, a previously unpublished collection of short stories and a little novel. We have Letters of Note, this one on grief, in the Penguin Letters of Note series. And then we have a gigantic pile of Harlequin historical novels. I think my correspondent said that she harvests these from her library book sale. They would not have a loving home if not, that she just grabs them. I'm hoping that that's the case. I don't want her depriving anybody from her neck of the woods. But boy, oh boy, are they going to get enjoyed here. These are the ultimate palate cleansers. And I've now got enough to keep my palate going for a long time. Oh, golly. Look at all these. Just a whole box of these Harlequin historicals. That is just incredible. I admit, some of them struck me as a little more enticing than others. I have tended to find with Harlequin historicals, no way, this isn't going to happen. I've tended to find with Harlequin historicals that that anything earlier than the Regency tends not to be very good, tends not to be very convincing. God help us, God save us in His mercy from Harlequin historicals set in the ancient world. I'm assuming that's why they're not done, because they're do. But fantastic. How thrilling. All right, so that is the mail for today. A few things. I admit the books from publishers, aside from notes on grief, letters on grief, there wasn't really anything here to thrill Steve, but whole box of Harlequin historical romances, that thrills me right down to my socks. So wonderful. I'm going to take it as a present to celebrate my freedom. So I'll wrap this up for now, and I'll see you soon. Thank you, BookTube.